It's hard to find anyone better than Batman villains when it comes to the DC universe. Batman has been in existence for longer than practically anybody else in comic books worldwide, and his villain cast of characters is more extensive and more renowned than just about anyone else's. These delinquents represent the devilish best of Gotham City's gloomy, grimy, and unsettling grounds, and they stand in complete opposition to our famous, or sometimes even infamous, Caped Crusader. Batman is characterized by the miscreants that torment him from the city's darkest corners. What distinguishes them from every other DC supervillain is that they are all only a few shades of gray off from Batman himself. Today we present to you a list of some of Batman's newest and most iconic supervillains, and all the antics they've gotten up to. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means an awful lot. Thank you. Let's begin. FailSafe. FailSafe is a robot comic supervillain that appears in Batman by DC Comics. Jorge Jimenez and Chip Zdarsky developed the character, and he originally appeared in Batman Volume 3, Issue 125. FailSafe was a robotic construction built by Batman, whose roots could be traced back to an encounter in which Ra's al Ghul stole his countermeasure tactics to deal with the Justice League. These strategies were employed in a conspiracy against Batman's Justice League companions. Following that, Batman established a backup persona in his psyche to defend himself from psychological attacks, culminating in the creation of the Zur-En-Arrh Batman identity. This personality sought to construct an effective alternative to Batman in the event the superhero ever got out of control and murdered others, which resulted in the creation of the android. The Failsafe's existence was unknown to Batman, who had left the robotic construct in a dormant capsule within the Batcave. Failsafe sat inactive for years until the Penguin feigned his death and accused Batman of murder. The revelation that Batman was ready to kill people triggered Failsafe, who instantly went on a wild and frantic chase for his inventor. He managed to defeat Batman and forced him to flee in order to defeat Signal and the Batgirls when they arrived to save their mentor. Robin was able to transport Batman to the Batmobile, but the robot was able to catch up to them until Nightwing, along with the members of the Batman family, was able to slow him down and fight him. An attempt that was futile, as Failsafe crushed all the heroes with almost no difficulty. He hacked Signal's mask after stealing it and obtained the whereabouts of the new Batcave. Once there, he confronted Dr. Tompkins and compelled her to reveal the whereabouts of Batman, who had now reverted back to his Zur-En-Arrh form. Failsafe, being an android, could interact with technology directly. He could effortlessly overpower and fling many people around with minimal effort, and his punches dealt tremendous damage. Failsafe could also fire missiles at targets from his body. The Help. The Help, a character who helps villains accomplish their objectives, is a perverse, evil counterpart of Batman's dependable butler, Alfred. While the Help, the wicked fixer, portrays himself as an exemplary servant and advisor, he has really left a trail of murders in his wake. Fans can't help but think of him as the butler's darker twin as he vies to be Batman's next mentor. The Help is dressed formally in a jacket, waistcoat, bow tie, and gloves. He is tall and skinny, with a balding head and an aquiline nose. The chilly, craggy face and clipped, emotionless voice of the Help portray him as formal and reclusive, and he has a propensity for antique vocabulary and idioms. Surprisingly enough, the Help has also observed Bruce Wayne on his quest to become Batman. A lot of the Help's past is revealed in Batman Killing Time No. 4 by Alejandro Sanchez, David Marquez, and Tom King. The Help thinks back to a meeting with his former instructor, Ra's al Ghul, after having previously demonstrated his fearsome prowess by defeating Batman in a battle. During the encounter, the Help and Raj see one of Raj's trainees sparring, a trainee who is implied to be Bruce Wayne. When the Help inquires about the guy's identity, he is informed that this man is replacing him as Ra's al Ghul's rightful successor, thereby usurping the Help's position. Raj's reasoning is that the Help, a person who has only rented his talent to others, does not have the personal drive to take on the role of Demon's Head. It's almost disturbing how effortlessly the Help settles into the position of something similar to a servant then, with him volunteering his aid to Batman in tracking down a strange and mysterious object. As they investigate together, he acts as a sounding board for Batman as he mulls over his possibilities as they follow the tangled leads left by the Riddler and Catwoman. The Help appears to be more talkative when he is assisting Batman, and despite his upbeat demeanor, he's capable of matching Batman in hand-to-hand confrontations. After their quest is finished, Bruce swears to bring the Help to justice. Under his professional and reserved exterior, the Help is brimming with nasty surprises, and he is very skilled, yet quietly cynical. cynical. It will be interesting to observe how this evil and twisted butler influences Batman's path now that he has finally intersected with Bruce Wayne's life. The Help sort of villain is a different breed, and one who may be really dangerous due to the fact that he keeps his terrible acts and professional attitude completely separate. The Batman Who Laughs. The Batman Who Laughs is an antagonist in the DC Universe who is an evil version of Bruce Wayne. He makes an appearance as a secondary villain in Dark Knight's Metal, as among the two major antagonists in Dark Knight's Death Metal with Perpetua, and he also makes an appearance in the Year of the Villain series with Lex Luthor. He appears as a Jokerized incarnation of Batman, who's a part of the Dark Multiverse. He is the Dark Knight's team captain, and their mission is to assist their Lord Barbas into plunging the whole multiverse into utter turmoil and total darkness. This line of action turns them against the Justice League. This Batman Who Laughs can trace his origins back to a parallel Earth where he defeated his own counterpart, the Joker, after attaining the abilities of Dr. Manhattan by transferring his mind into an alternative Bruce Wayne, identified as Batmanhattan. He has now become the Darkest Knight, a creature of pure evil with omnipotent power. As we already know, the Batman Who Laughs was initially similar to Prime Earth's Batman, but the major difference is that the Batman Who Laughs killed his version of the Joker. He was then directly exposed to a toxin which ended up altering him. It not only rewired his mind to act more like the Joker, it also warped his moral essence into something wicked. In spite of these developments, Bruce retained the ordered and logical components of his thinking, as well as his acute and calculating intelligence. As a result, he possessed Batman's tactical acumen and fighting skills, as well as the Joker's complete and total lack of morals. He also has a very similar thirst for anarchy and insanity, as does the latter. The Batman Who Laughs appears to be obsessed with victory, and feels that he can always prevail over his opponents, since he has abandoned the self-imposed constraints that have kept him from employing more harsh and murderous techniques in the past. Indeed, without his code shackling him, the Batman Who Laughs has been able to adapt to different circumstances and triumph against a wide range of the most incredible and impossible odds. He can also be rather prideful, having wrecked his own universe and learned from many others. He is also very sadistic, as evidenced by preventing the Grim Knight from slaying Jim Gordon so that he would suffer a far crueler end, and coming to the Court of Owls without any aim other than to hear everyone all die scream. While he remains among the most terrible villains in the DC world, it is thought that Bruce did not choose to become a villain. According to this reasoning, this Batman could be more unfortunate than the Joker, despite his wickedness being greater. When it comes to his deeds, the idea of a Batman with the Joker's warped morality implies that the Batman Who Laughs may reject the ideals of good and evil in order to do what he needs to get done, which in this case is winning, because he believes it is the only important act. However, given that he managed to preserve part of his old mindset when it came to his brilliance, he may still possess a sense of right and wrong, albeit twisted. This is no more the case now that he has achieved cosmic consciousness, since he understands what he had done was terrible but still wants to cause havoc and ruin without remorse. As a result, he is no longer sad, and any excuse he previously had has vanished, making him considerably more dangerous than the Joker ever has been. He is more egotistical than ever as the Darkest Knight. Yet this is what caused his demise, because he didn't anticipate Wonder Woman to be capable of killing him. The Designer. The Designer is a villain that appeared in DC Rebirth. He was renowned in the criminal world as a master criminal who devised and carried out flawless crimes. The Designer arrived in Gotham City towards the start of Batman's activities with schemes for the city's criminals. The Designer was formerly an adversary of a heroic investigator and later advisor of Bruce Wayne, Cassander Wycliffe Baker. He grew obsessed with beating him, and the experience molded him into a brilliant criminal. Despite his intelligence and expertise, Cassander constantly sabotages his schemes at every step. After being driven nearly insane by 20 years of war, the Designer isolated himself in a chamber for a year to devise a brilliant strategy that didn't play according to his adversary's rules. Following the creation of this strategy, the Designer reappeared and was prepared to vanquish and destroy his despised rival. The Designer went on to plan grander crimes, becoming an urban legend among criminals, allegedly being accountable for the most incredible criminal acts ever heard of. The Designer visited Gotham City early in Batman's career and examined the criminal activities of Catwoman, the Joker, the Penguin, and the Riddler. He called the criminals to a conference in his waterhouse, presenting each of them with a plot that would fulfill their deepest desires. The designer wants to transform them into a united underworld and establish his branch in Gotham in exchange for half of their revenues from the crimes. The designer devised a plan for Catwoman to take all of the wealth from Wayne Enterprises, specifically the offshore accounts that fuel the company and Bruce Wayne's riches. He intended to give Penguin a respectable mayoral campaign, enabling him to lawfully take over Gotham and eliminate his competitors with an army of assassins. For the Riddler, the pair devised a strategy to imprison the GCPD within their own precincts, pitting the officers against themselves in order to live. These plans were accepted by all three. The designer devised a plan for the Joker that would eliminate Robin and Batman without raising their suspicions. However, Joker exposed his true intentions and stated that he was not interested in destroying just the dynamic duo, but the whole planet. Fearful and realizing he had misjudged Gotham, the designer commanded the execution of the four villains, only to be shot in the back of the head by the Joker. With their plans rendered useless without his financial support, the villains agreed to torch the designer's residence, return to the mainland, and keep the whole affair hidden. Punchline. Punchline is meant to be an anti-Harley Quinn, with her being a quiet and vicious serial murderer and the way that the Joker appears to take care of her. Alexis Kay, a Snyder College student, first saw the Joker on a study trip to a local television studio. The Joker had taken over the studio, ordering Alexis to pose as a reporter and broadcast his statement to the inhabitants of Gotham City at gunpoint. Batman stopped the Joker's scheme and Alexis was spared, but she acquired an obsessive infatuation with the Joker. She eventually concluded that the Joker's previous offenses served a bigger purpose. She then launched an internet podcast devoted to the Joker, meticulously studying all of his previous misdeeds. Influenced by the Joker's shenanigans, she created her own outfit. She began poisoning Gotham residents in a strategy to garner the Joker's interest. He recognized her brilliance and showed her how to make a modified version of Joker venom, which she began testing on the homeless and poor. The college's dean became concerned about Alexis's recent behavior and went to speak with her, only to be murdered by her version of Joker venom, prior to actually adopting the identity of Punchline and effectively proving her worth to the Joker. Punchline is a skillful warrior, trained in both short and long-range weaponry, a brilliant sharpshooter capable of gymnastic feats, toxicology, and knife use. She wields 2 daggers, which she handles expertly. She also has a modified version of Joker venom, which is a combination of Bane's venom, laughing gas, and the Scarecrow's fear toxin. In her first encounter with them, she managed to gravely hurt Harley Quinn and cripple Catwoman. The Court of Owls. The Court of Owls is a centuries-old aristocratic secret organization with great influence and power rooted in Gotham City's history and architecture. The Court of Owls debuted in Batman Volume 2, Issue 1, and was developed by author Scott Snyder and illustrator Greg Capullo. The Court of Owls myth is just as old as Gotham City itself. The court broke off from the tribe of Judas, a sect that worshipped Barbados, a cosmic bat deity. Certain court members believed they could summon Barbados by chemically modifying a descendant of House Wayne, picked by Barbados, with 5 metals from beyond their realm. From the shadows, the court dominated Gotham City, harvesting an uncommon metal known as electrum from Gotham, which was created from the regenerating chemical Dionysium. The court employed this substance to create the Talons, a force of superhuman assassins trained from a young age in facilities like Haley's Circus to destroy their adversaries. Talons like to slaughter their victims by dragging them through Gotham's sewers to a subterranean marble labyrinth accessible to the court. Victims would be abandoned, given poisoned water, photographed often, then mercilessly slain by a Talon, typically in extraordinarily horrific ways recommended by members of the court in a procedure comparable to gladiatorial combat. Despite the fact that the Court of Owls first appeared in Batman Volume 2, originator and writer Scott Snyder teased their presence in his Detective Comics series during his narrative arc in Batman, The Black Mirror, and Batman, Gates of Gotham. While Batman had been in the court's tunnels, he saw several members with horrifying owl-like features, prompting some to assume that the court had superhuman members. While this is plausible, it is more possible that Bruce saw these members while losing touch with reality as a result of his confinement in the labyrinth. The Peacekeepers. Sean Mahoney, also known as Peacekeeper 1 in the public eye, is among the first Peacekeepers. a private security organization of super soldiers who patrol Gotham City instead of vigilantes. The members of this organization of terror perpetrate violent attacks and blame them on others, creating issues that did not exist previously as justification for their own existence. These military cops joined up with affluent business executives and computer experts to grab control of the city. The organization has overtaken the Gotham Police Department, employing cutting-edge weapons to commit acts of deadly force and extrajudicial executions with the full support of the state, and no one holding them accountable for their heinous crimes. Peacekeeper 1 was brutal and cruel. He was in charge of the organization's special law enforcement forces, and he took great delight in hunting down vigilantes. The Peacekeeper was directly responsible for Batman's apparent death, in addition to dispatching soldiers against superheroes such as the Arkham Knights and Nightwing. Peacekeeper 1 and the organization kept the hero's survival a secret, and Mahoney took tremendous delight in his apparent accomplishment. He also discovered that Batman was really the wealthy businessman Bruce Wayne, but kept this information hidden in order to perpetuate the mystery surrounding his death. 2 years later, the group began deploying a microdrone-based espionage operation throughout Gotham City. Batman returned to Halted, which the Peacekeeper was promptly informed of by his new drones. While the organization dispatched personnel to the vigilantes' hideouts, Mahoney confronted him personally at the headquarters, seeking to end what he had started. Mahoney might have had the overwhelming advantage, but Batman was only battling him just enough for hidden explosives to destroy the tower, killing them both. However, both Batman and the Peacekeeper survived this encounter. He apprehended the hero and hid any news that he had escaped his second death. Peacekeeper 1 remained in command of Gotham during the raids by the next Joker and the Warmonger, but did nothing to intervene personally. The Unsanity Collective. The Unsanity Collective, first seen in Batman issue 106, is a part of a campaign to transform Gotham in reaction to the city's insanity. In an odd twist, this group appears to have reached the same conclusion about the state of the world as the Joker did in Dave McKean and Grant Morrison's famous comic book, Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. While the Joker's epiphany was the source of his insanity, the Unsanity Collective is attempting to construct a whole philosophy around it. The Unsanity Collective, led by a person who calls himself Master Wise, has been looting the shareholders and CEOs of mainstream news firms. Wise transmits statements about the group's aims and values after each burglary. He believes that Gotham has fallen to the insanity that once resided in Arkham, and that the only way to cope with it is to discard the past and accept a brand new sort of sanity. Members of the Unsanity Collective are neither individuals who might profit from institutionalization, nor do they constitute a gang of regular criminals. Instead, they are idealists, who are sincerely convinced that they can persuade others and change the world. As Batman chases them down in the aftermath of their art heist, one of the members tells the others that Batman is not a rival, but a part of what's wrong in Gotham, and he will eventually see eye to eye alongside them. They are reacting to the madness of the economic disparity and pervasive deception that has afflicted Gotham for years by attacking the wealthy media bosses. The Unsanity Collective believes that such insanity cannot be dealt with using the old, sane mindsets of the past, nor with the insane, severe methods used by Arkham's prisoners. While they have reached the same beliefs as the Joker, they are campaigning for something new that they have dubbed Unsanity. And will Batman agree with their ideals, noble as they may be? We personally doubt it. Barbados. Barbados, also known as the Hyper-Adapter, is a bat-like cosmic creature that is said to be the in-universe inspiration for the Batman character. Barbados is commonly seen as a bat-like monster, nightmare, or an actual bat linked to Bruce Wayne, Gotham City, and the Wayne family. At the climax of Final Crisis, when Batman struck Darkseid using a Radion bullet, the evil god reacted by knocking Bruce out with the Omega Beams, presumably murdering him. Earth's heroes lamented the death of one of their own, but Darkseid had not slain Batman. He used his abilities to distort time around Bruce, injecting him with Omega Force and returning him to the Stone Age with no knowledge of who he was. The influx of Omega Force would drive Bruce to move ahead in time uncontrolled until he arrived at the present. Each leap heightened the amount of Omega Force in Bruce's body until he arrived in the present, when the energy caused a rift in time and decimated the cosmos. Once this occurred, the Hyper-Adapter would seize control of Batman's physique, creating a gap in his consciousness for Darkseid to return, seize control, and rule over existence once and for all. In 1765, a youthful Thomas Wayne, with a number of other influential colonial Americans attended a demonic mass in which they sought to call the demon Barbados in order to achieve eternal life. When the summoning appeared to succeed, all of the men except Thomas fled in terror, trapping Thomas alone with the demon. While Thomas believed he called Barbados, what he saw was the Hyper Adapter, Darkseid's weapon, which was altered in order to use Thomas as a weapon against his future descendant. When Darkseid used the Hyper Adapter to send Batman back in time, he was seen by Barbados, who recognized the parallels in their emblems. Barbados intended to transform Batman into a gateway that would enable him to govern the regular matter multiverse, using Hath-Set as the first conduit. The Underbroker. Harlan Graves is a skilled lawyer and businessman in Gotham City who also operates a criminal bank under the guise of the Underbroker. Harlan Graves had been a senior partner in the famous Graves, Willock, and Crane law firm. Harlan managed an underground financial organization that served as a bank for Gotham City's criminal underworld under the moniker of the Underbroker. He also worked as a broker for felons, collaborating with Gotham's criminals and allowing them to put their money in hedge funds, where it was completely hidden amongst the money of other wealthy people. Also, the Underbroker succeeded in keeping his establishment, the Underbrokerage, hidden from Batman himself. When the Joker planned to take down Batman, he teamed up with him to prepare a trap for Harley Quinn and Catwoman. Punchline and Joker's thugs confronted him after he let them inside the Underbrokerage to deal with the designer's monster cops, and he claimed to let them go provided they made a deal with him. Things quickly dissolved into a scuffle, and he attempted to flee, but he was hit by Catwoman's whip. She disclosed who he was before threatening to divulge his safe codes to other people and sending Batman down on his business. Graves then promised to make her wealthy in exchange for his life. Catwoman subsequently used Underbroker's computer terminal to move Batman's money, which was held in shell firms, to her personal account, so the designer was unable to access it first. As she began the wire, he and Punchline disclosed that it had all been a ruse to obtain Batman's account details and then transfer all of the money to Joker. With Graves acting as his lawyer and blackmailing Gotham officials to do his bidding, Joker used the funds to take over Wayne Enterprises. Graves revoked all services he was supplying to the Joker once Catwoman took Batman's funds, as well as any other criminal's hidden money in the Underbroker's account. Abyss. Abyss is actually a Batanesian villain who Lex Luthor developed to be his very own Batman. Abyss was frequently abused by criminals, which is why he adored Batman and aspired to be just like him. His wish was realized when Lex Luthor presented him with training, gear, and tested methods to grant him darkness-based powers. But despite all of his efforts, he failed to meet Luthor's expectations and was abandoned. For the next year, he terrorized Batanesia, making an opponent out of Detective Keha. Abyss wanted to entice Luthor, who was sending him his newly purchased Batman Inc. to hunt him down. Batman Inc. was actually working undercover for Batman and had instructions to double-cross both Abyss and Luthor. Abyss faked his assassination and had fresh underlings jailed in order to bring both Batman and Lex Luthor to him so he could persuade Batman to assist him in killing Lex Luthor together. In order to show that he was better compared to his secret idol, he lured Batman into a trap and severely injured and blinded him. He later attempts to kill Luthor, but when the latter is able to flee thanks to a brand new batsuit he was discreetly wearing, he is compelled to reunite with Batman Inc. at the top of the detention center where they are being kept, and asks Batman to accompany him. Despite his perceived advantage, he found himself at a severe disadvantage once Batman and Batman Inc. revealed their plot. Enraged by their betrayal, he started to defeat every single representative of Batman Inc. while attempting to tell Batman his tale. Detective Keha, who already arrived on the scene, began to shoot at Abyss when he was about to slice Luthor's throat, forcing him to retreat. He was pursued and beaten by Batman, who, after everything, gave him his assistance, only to witness a now broken Abyss proclaim his remorse as to what he was becoming before fleeing through a smokescreen. Mother Soul. In Batman vs. Robin Issue 2, Batman and Alfred discover that Mother Soul is Damian Wayne's great-grandmother. The discovery occurs as the two are exploring the House of Secrets and looking through its shifting, vision-granting chambers. Batman gets glimpses of his son competing in the Lazarus Tournament at Lazarus Island, a tale told in Robin's newest solo series, which finished in August with Robin Issue 17. After discovering that Damian's experience on the island was considerably more transformational than he admitted to, Batman realizes that Mother Soul organized the competition, and eventually responds in amazement when Damian identifies her as Ra's al Ghul's parent. Batman questions why Damian never told him this surprising information. Mother Soul first appeared in 2021's Robin, issue 3, as the All Ghul's hidden matriarch and commander of the League of Lazarus, a renegade organization of the League of Assassins. Mother Soul and her adherents worship a malevolent entity in the Lazarus pits that no one dares to approach, even Damien and Raj al Ghul's mom, Talia. The presence in Batman vs. Robin appears to be no other than the demon Nezha, an old Chinese villain introduced and confined in Batman/Superman World's Finest. The resin that runs through the planet's Lazarus pits has ties to Nezha, and was initially meant to keep the monster alive for eternity, according to Batman vs. Robin issue 2. Damien, who's been researching Lazarus' history since the end of his solo story, appears to now be Nezha's instrument in the villain's goal of vengeance against all the other magical powers that have held him prisoner. This answers his out-of-character actions in Batman vs. Robin, in which he attacks his father. Conclusion. Over the years, Batman has met a number of famous adversaries that have left an indelible impression on the Dark Knight and Gotham City. Batman's gallery of villains is so full of renowned criminals that any newcomer will have a lot of trouble beginning their operations in Gotham City. These memorable DC baddies have earned their place in Batman's lineup. Not only have they left their imprint on Gotham City, but they have also caused the Dark Knight significant personal suffering. Most of these villains' abilities to conduct spectacular crimes and target Batman directly has made them even more legendary throughout the years. The continued story arcs of these villains and how they develop themselves in their exploits remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, if they want to reach the heights of the insane Joker or the murderous Bane, they'll have to do something truly and shockingly evil. That's it for this video, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. This has been Corey Whelan from Marvelous Videos. Have a good one, be safe out there, and thanks for watching.